In 2006, Louisiana Supreme Court Justice Scott Creighton saw a slew of minors charged with felony-level crimes. The experience changed his perspective on troubled youth and the way the state educates them about the law. As a result, he created Crime, Consequences, and the Power of Choice, a presentation that focuses on the basics of criminal justice. This is part 2 of LPB's interview special with the Louisiana Supreme Court. So you created a presentation, and it's called Crime, Consequences, and the Power of Choice. How did this come about?
Well, it actually started back in 2006. I was on the trial court bench between 1991 and 2014 in Shreveport, Caddo Parish. And there was one day in particular where I had a large number of young people in the courtroom charged with drug offenses, charged with violent crimes like armed robbery and carjacking and other types of crimes. And I noted that their mothers were with them. Sometimes their mothers and fathers were with them. And they had sort of a confused look, but they were charged with high-level crimes. And in examining some of those cases, the evidence was overwhelming. And so therefore they were looking at, if convicted, minimum mandatory terms in the penitentiary. Some of these young people were 15, 16, 17, and they are triable as adults if the DA chooses to prosecute them as adults for high-level crimes. So they were facing, in one case, an armed robbery case, armed robbery with the use of a gun. This young man was facing a minimum mandatory term of 15 years, and he was age 15. And there's nothing I can do about it if a jury says he's guilty, other than sentence him according to law. And the sadness of that seemed to grip me and seemed a bit overwhelming. And I, at the time, my deputy clerk of court said, "Judge, they just don't know." And by that she meant they don't know the young persons don't know the consequences of what they're doing. And my immediate answer to that, well, somebody needs to tell them. And I'm kind of looking around and I realize that person is me and others. And judges and lawyers are particularly suited to educate students and high school kids in particular about the perils of breaking the law. They need to know. And in fact, the criminal code instructs us that ignorance of the law is not a defense to any crime.
What's the reception been like to your presentation?
Oh, it's been overwhelming. Whenever I present at a high school, it's usually in a packed auditorium. Packed. I mean, 300 students, 400 students, whatever the auditorium will hold. And many times parents will be there as well. Teachers are there. You know, they enjoy it. I think maybe for two reasons. Number one, they know it's important. Number two, they get a little break from their hour of instruction, which is good for them. But they primarily enjoy it because they know it's important and they know that students need it. I mean, even vaping is a problem at school. Bullying is a problem at school, and they want me to cover that as well.
So what do you think the long-term impact of your presentation will be?
Well, I think the long-term impact is sort of multifaceted. Keep in mind that every year we have a new group of high school students. Every year we have a new group of ninth graders. They don't know anything about the nuances of the law. They don't know anything about civics, and so therefore they need to learn. I think the long-term impact is we want judges and lawyers and teachers to present this information statewide, and we also want this program to take off nationally, because I don't know of any Supreme Court, any state Supreme Court in this country initiating this program. If they are, I commend them for their work. If they're not, I think they should do it. Judges and lawyers are especially well trained to teach this because they know the law. They've been to law school, and they can address all of these legal issues in a high school assembly program. And sometimes we have, I've done it sometimes twice in a day, same school, you know, 300 or 400 students in the auditorium at one time, another 300 in the afternoon. And actually in Shreveport, I had a double feature program at the local jail, and we just opened that up to parents and teenagers. The first hour or so was instruction from me by PowerPoint, and the second hour was a tour of the jail. So that was a real stark awakening for, you know, these 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, actually being at the parish jail and actually seeing inmates, because these kids grow up, and they need to know how laws are made, and they need to know about the three branches of government and what each branch does.